All right, welcome to the Underdog Ecom podcast, where two ecom brand founders are figuring out in real time.
Yeah, we're not here to preach. We're here in the thick of it, making mistakes, testing all sorts of ideas, and really sharing the journey of how we've been growing these brands from day zero. Hopefully you learn a little bit, perhaps come away with some ideas that save you time and money. And so if you're tired of the same glittery D2C advice from those 9-figure gurus, you're here in the right place.
Let's get into it.
Welcome back. We're here on the Underdog Ecom pod. Today, we've got Mr. Globetrotter himself, Jack, across the globe, 17 time zones ahead or behind in the future. And me, hi, David. And so today we're going to dig into a few different things, kind of do a little catch up on how things have been going. Spoiler alert, it's been rough out there. The seas are rocky. And then I've been taking a blowtorch to my ad library, burning it down to the ground and rebuilding it. And that's been the core amount of my hours that I've spent, which is like one of my least favorite things to do. But that's what I've been working on the last week or two. And so we're going to talk more about everyone's favorite thing, ads, and the engine that fuels most ecom businesses, or tries to at least.
Absolutely.
But hey, Jack, how you doing?
I'm good. A bit jet lagged, but good. I'm really happy to be back recording. It's been a few weeks. We've both been jammed and it's been hard to fit it in, but yeah, I think we've got a lot to talk about. So, but yeah, I'm here in Vietnam, as we were talking about off the pod just a minute ago. So, right now it's very early morning for David and evening or night for me. So,
Early.
yeah, it's been up for a few hours. Yeah.
I've been up since 4:30. Yeah. Kids.
Wow.
Kids. Yeah, so like I think what you're doing over there is really smart in a lot of ways. And so maybe you can explain like the reasons why you headed over there and what you're up to.
Yeah, it was kind of impromptu, and it's a quick trip as well, actually, because I need to get back for something in October. So I basically had to fit it in. But really, it's because we're getting towards Q4. I've an order I placed in July that's still, and it's with this new factory, and we made some new colors and changes to the bags, everything kind of coincided, and it was kind of quite a lot to ask of them, and also to make sure it was done on time. And so yeah, I decided basically to go out here just to kind of speed things up, because it was going to take a couple of weeks to get the final samples. If there are any problems with them, which there have been a couple of small things today, which we could fix on the fly today, which otherwise would have taken weeks to sort out. So it's really kind of helped just sort small tiny issues out quickly, as opposed to letting them drag out for weeks. And hopefully he's going to help me get more stock in over sort of November, December period, really.
I love that. I think that's really smart. And it's almost like, it's almost like if that was like a yearly thing in maybe September or something like that to get prepped for Q4, I've been working on a couple pretty epic things, but like getting a sample takes a week or whatever, iterating on it, sending that back the instructions, and then that whole process drags out long. Like this jacket is an example of that. I've been working on this since June, I think, and it's almost final. But it just takes so much time, and you don't really think about that. And especially when you're on sort of like a deadline per se, like you want to get stuff in by November, that's really important. I forgot the name of the dude who runs Western Rise. I've talked with him a little bit. But he moved his whole family over to Asia to basically be boots on the ground to like build up his business from the ground up there. And that makes so much sense. Like you're there in person, touching the materials, touching the fabrics. It's a bold, audacious move. I definitely could not survive that. My family would not be happy, but I can see why. Like it makes so much sense. And so that's like nice work. Good job.
Appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, I've heard about brands doing it as well. There's a brand that makes phone cases in the UK. Name's Mouse, I think they're called. They're quite a big brand, but they I think the co-founders moved out there to China for like 2 or 3 years, and we're just out there. And I think it does help. I mean, I would say it's not like it doesn't solve everything. I mean, I think a lot of factories will be like, I think a lot of factories would be annoyed if you came in every day for one thing. And I think for another, they're not designers, right? And so a lot of the times the factories, they will do what you tell them to do, but they're not very like creative. They don't want to think creatively. They want to think like production wise and things like that. So, it doesn't solve everything, but it certainly has helped me over time. I think this year I didn't plan to go out twice, but I ended up going out twice, and it is money and it's money spent. But I think if you go out for the right reasons and you combine things at the same time as well to make sure you kind of makes the trip worth it, it can be helpful.
Speaking of combining things, are you going to mention the other
Oh yeah,
secret sauce you're doing while you're there?
yeah. Well, so we got new colorways of our bags coming out, and yeah, so I decided to save time. I've got the samples. Well, I've got. I don't know if I can see it. There's a suitcase just right there. See, I can show it right there. Which is actually a suitcase from another brand they manufacture for, and they just gave me the suitcase, filled it up with samples, and they said these are the newest color we're launching with. It's like a mint green color, and so we're gonna do a studio shoot of those new colors and a lifestyle shoot here in Vietnam with some models that I've been speaking to. It took quite a bit of preparation, but it's ended up being a lot cheaper than if it would cost to do it in London. My brother-in-law is actually a photographer, so in the past it's been very cheap, but he's actually moved for a few months. He's on like a sabbatical with he's my brother-in-law, and he's on a sabbatical with my sister, and they're away for a few months. And so I can't do it with him. And so I was like, God, I have to actually spend money on this. I'm not used to spending money on this. So I was like,
nice.
So I thought it'd be cool scenery, like do something different. Like it's a different place, very busy, kind of urban looking, but also kind of tropical. So I thought it'd be cool to get some photography here, but also I need them for the new bags. So that's gonna be Sunday all day and Monday all day. So I got half the samples. I'm going back to factory tomorrow, Saturday, to get the rest of them because they didn't finish all the samples. Because they never do, but that's fine. Tomorrow I'm going to pick up the rest, and then Sunday we're doing the photo shoot. So yeah, cramming it all into like 5 days.
Wow. and recording a pod.
Yeah,
that's good. I think that's a really good thing to do, basically, is to combine it and do it all at once. I think product photography is one of those things that for the most part is really helpful for a brand. Like, it is really important. I did a photo shoot with a local photographer, Matt from Gudo Studios, like a month ago with my new jackets, and it was like the assets that I get from that, from a decent investment, it's just like, wow, that's phenomenal. It's way better than what I could do on my cell phone. I know there's definitely something to be said with the mentality of, like, basically Bart from Dad Gang has kind of like preached it a lot, like, keep it simple, just use your cell phone or whatever. And I think that can definitely work for some things, but not necessarily for all things or most things in terms of products. And so getting that product photography, minimizing the cost, but also still having that same output, I think that's an awesome endeavor to tack in there, even though it makes everything a lot more crazy. And I'm sure the planning was just helter skelter.
Yeah, and I think these things can get out of control cost-wise. Like, I mean, if you rent a studio, photographer, charging by the hour, this stuff can get extremely expensive. I think you've got to try and think creatively about how to cut costs or minimize it. I do think, though, photography is it's a bit of like a conversion rate booster in some ways if you do it right, because I think you can give it your own style. It really shows off your products. Especially I find with bags, because there's like people want to see like what's inside, they want to see what's in this pocket, they want to see like all different angles, and it's very hard. I think it's good advice. Like, if you can do whatever photography you can do without doing that sort of stuff at the beginning is really important, and I still try and do that. I mean, these things aren't things I do very often, but yeah, hopefully it's going to help.
Yeah, especially for like the evergreen places where it lives on your PDP or something. It's a one-time investment, and hopefully will lend itself to lots of conversions over time, kind of thing. That's awesome. I like it. Nice. How is September? I've heard it been called the hardest month of media buying by people that are way bigger and smarter than me. How is September for you?
Yeah, it's been pretty bad. I mean, August I expected to not be great because it's August.
Wow.
I expected things to really like beef up a bit in September, with people like getting back to work, going back to school, getting back into all that sort of stuff. Yeah, but it's really not been great. Actually more. I think a lot of people have talked about it at the beginning of September. I've seen more towards the end of September being worse. I had like a fairly okay beginning, and it's really nosedived since then. Just like, and we're gonna get into this, like, because of with media buying side of things. But yeah, I run a lot of cost caps. They're not spending very much. I started looking into doing some low costs, but they weren't really getting much results, and I was like, oh dear, I'm not really sure what to do next. So I literally just put my top performing cost caps in like a lowest cost campaign, like try and get some sales in, and they literally like spent like a significant amount of money without many sales at all, and I was like, that's not good. So yeah, don't know what's going on, but yeah, what's your experience been?
It's rough out there. Yeah, it's been I don't know what it was. It seemed like there was days where I felt like my website was broken. It was so bad. I didn't know what was going on. I basically I've been trying to funnel more. I've been really trying to focus on Facebook ads because I feel like that's the gas pedal for the brand and that's the engine that can really push things forward. I know that there's a million different gas pedals to look into, but it seems like that one is the best. And I'm also trying really hard at organic content, which is a whole nother nightmare. It feels like it's kind of 2015 feels like 2015. 2025 feels like a perfect storm of many things for the brand. Um, I'm not sleeping. That's one thing, due to kids, but that makes everything harder. And then organic content has been a huge focus of mine this year. Paid ads has been a huge focus and profitability in both of those. And I feel like organic content, I'm trying really hard and it seems like it's going nowhere. And things that have gotten way more likes or way more engagement in the past, like the similar posts to past posts just don't work anymore. And even similar ideas where it's like teasing a new product or asking for feedback and all these things that really went somewhere in years past just goes nowhere this year because Facebook or Instagram doesn't show anything to your followers anymore. They're basically just trying to be TikTok. And that's really, really difficult, especially for me who's not a content creator and not like an influencer led brand or whatever. That's been a huge struggle. And then the profitability with Facebook ads has been my big struggle this year. Over the last couple months, basically, it's felt like I've gone from cutting most of my ad spend and putting everything into fixed or into bid caps and trying to do a cost controlled mechanisms to the last couple weeks. This is where I decided to burn everything down. Those bid caps, it was looking at the numbers, September was crazy rough. They just weren't spending. I think in August I'd spent on my campaigns like $800 to $900, which is still not very much, but it's something. And then September had rolled around, and I think at the end of the month that campaign had spent maybe like $150 to $200, which is very, very minimal. And so it just basically, it felt like it wasn't working. And I know that a lot of times people will say with bid caps, you should create 50 gazillion ads every week. And that's a whole nother, like, that's just not something that's in my expertise wheelhouse or thing that I want to spend one day a week doing. And so I did create a bunch of new ads. I don't think it was quite at the volume that the experts would say, but I pulled back from that and sat down and was like, all right, we need a new strategy here. And so what has worked the best for me in my whole burn it down and rebuild it campaign in the last week or two, and it's been crazy how much time I've spent on it. I feel like I've spent probably like, in terms of the time I've spent on the brand, it's been like half of my time on Facebook ads and just like rebuilding campaigns. I have used ChatGPT extensively for this as sort of like a advisor. It seems like a lot of the stuff that it says is pretty solid from what I've gleaned from the experts online and stuff. And I think that with my perfectionist personality in Facebook ads, I've done too much self-reflecting on this, but basically I've come to realize that there's a lot of little things when it comes to the ad campaigns that I want to be perfect. And so I'll ask the little questions to ChatGPT, where before I would try and Google for that. It's like, hey, do I want to check this box that says show my ads next to other brands? Well, I don't know. Probably not. So I asked ChatGPT and it does like a little analysis based on all of the history of my brand and everything and said no. And I was like, okay, for those reasons, I would agree. I'm going to uncheck it. And it helped me form a new strategy going forward that I feel like I can do and I can operate under in terms of Facebook ads. And we can totally get in the weeds later. But I think that we've talked about this a little bit before, but like every brand is a little different. Every operator is a little different. And every line of products is a little different. And so like, I don't think it's really hard to take like this blanket statement of like, here's how you do Facebook ads and apply it everywhere, unless like that's your subject matter area that you're an expert in. Unless you've ran like $5 gajillion through Facebook ads and you know what you're doing and you're building a brand, then I think it would make sense that you have a certain thing. And so I think building the structure and the strategy and catering it to that individual person or that individual company makes a lot of sense. Because like one of the things that's difficult with apparel is there's so many different product categories that I'm in, and I'm still, kind of searching for that hero product, that product collection. It's probably going to be jackets it's looking like, but that product collection that really people really, really like. Because that's one of the key aspects to Facebook ads I'm realizing is like, you know, you can sell something that no one wants as hard as you want, but it's not really going to work that well. If you have something that people really want, you will see that in the ads and you'll see that in the signals that people are sending. Like it will get the numbers regardless of if it's a crappy ad or set up in the wrong campaign or whatever it is. Like all this minutia that we get bogged down in a lot of times, I don't think that that's that really that important. Product is really, really important. And I think that's also, there's a good tweet about it the other day, I think, where someone was talking about product market fit. Sam from W6 was talking about it and how it's hard to really nail down what it is because it's this vague, sort of undefined term that people know is important, but I don't think it's given enough credit for product. Like you look at Dad Gang, like unbelievable, astronomical product market fit because of, and there's a lot of, other criteria that goes into it and like the reasons why it's so successful and that sort of thing. But product market fit is just like crazy important. And so that also leans into the ad aspect of things where it's like, okay, well, as I start to figure this out, I'm figuring out like certain things just people don't want to buy or whatever. And so it's like that starts to change the strategy a lot and then the product pricing and the margins on different things, I'm starting to use a lot more ABO campaigns rather than CBO because it's like my $150 jacket it's not the same as my $20 hat or whatever. And so those margins are different. Those price positions are different. ChatGPT has told me that Facebook will prioritize those lower priced products because it's easier for people to convert on them. And so segmenting out a lot of the strategy into the different buckets for the different things that have those different margin profiles is also like a big takeaway I've been applying. Sorry, that was a huge dump. A lot of stuff there.
No, that's really interesting.
But yeah, we can get into the weeds. But I can show up for a second too and let you digest.
Yeah, I mean, I think going back to the thing about product market fit, I think there is a huge amount there on a number of levels. I think like from what you said in terms of like when a product is like there is product market fit, however you define that, everything is a little bit easier, right? I mean, like it almost doesn't matter what campaign you run. I mean, it does, but it in some ways doesn't matter what campaign you run, what you do, yep. Because you can do pretty well doing a bad job because your product hits. I always think there's a big thing about like when riding a wave, when, for example, if you're in supplements and you're selling creatine when creatine is all the rage, like, and you do that at the right time. And then later on when creatine isn't quite so crazy, you've kind of built up the volume by then that, you've got you've built up your spend on Meta. You've got enough volume coming through that it's almost like you've had an easier slip through entry than if you come in at a hard time when, like, for example, is trying to maybe launch a creatine brand now, for example, versus a couple of years ago is going to be different entering the market and how much it's going to cost you to run those ads and those things. And so I do think there's like a wave as well with a lot of products that if you ride it at the right time, it makes different. And then you almost have to it's almost like it reminds me a bit of like tennis in the sense that, or any sport really, it's like when you're young and you're like a junior, and if you get up there quickly, you don't have to like grind it out for the next 5 years because you've kind of done it at the early on, and then you could kind of up there where you kind of got enough things going on that you're making money, and it's a bit like that. I mean, I think it doesn't mean that everyone has to do it quickly. I think, but I just think there is a sort of, I think with product market fit and also riding like a sort of almost like a cultural wave. And when you think you were talking about ABO, I think that makes a lot of sense as well because people obviously a lot nowadays people talk about CBO and like letting Meta optimize and at every single possible area. But when you're trying to figure out, well, actually, what is my hero product? ABO, I think, makes the most sense because you're right. I mean, Meta will spend where it can get the most purchases, but it may not be that selling hats is your way to kind of grow, to 7-8 figures. It might be that hats are a supplementary product and the jackets are the one that, because it's got a higher OV, because maybe, it brings in the right type of customer, then repeat buys and stuff like that. So I definitely think that makes a lot of like logical sense.
Yeah. It's so hard to know, especially for like the underdogs out there, like what makes the most sense for your brand. And like, it sucks to say, but you kind of have to spend the money to make the money in some ways. And I think one thing that I've got caught in the past a lot is applying these high level ideas or concepts in particular to my situation. And like I like a lot of what Bart talks about with simplicity and keeping things easy and straightforward and that sort of thing. Um, I've tried to do that here and there, and like it doesn't really stick for my brand. And I think that it's a lot of it. You know, every brand is different. Every product market fit is different. Merchandising is a whole another aspect that you're kind of touching on there, where things are different, and you can't like. It's really hard to copy and paste something and apply it. And I think that there's a lot of chatter online too from brands that are doing gazillions, 8, 9, 10 figure brands, even 7 figure brands, that those types of ideas or concepts just don't work at the same scale of like an underdog brand. Um, so I don't know what the takeaway is besides like just keep going, figure it out.
I think it. I mean, I want to ask you some questions about like the strategy as well. But
we've lost Jack. Let me see if we can get him back.
Hey, sorry guys, I got cut out there. Vietnamese Wi-Fi not doing me justice right now, but that's fine. So I was about to ask you, David, is well, what I was thinking about is this. I think I shared a post with you from somebody talking about how there's like a natural CAC that Meta's like will charge you for your product, and is what I like is the game of like constantly trying to come up with creative that will bring it down. Really, I mean, I think obviously you should still create more ads and test things, and obviously, but like, is that game over? Like, is it overused, that game, and actually, really, there is a natural like CPA that where you hover around, and actually, it should be more around trying to make the rest of your business work around it, so you can scale that there, or focusing on products that you can scale. I mean, I don't know, but I have this problem myself, and I wonder whether this whole advice of testing new angles and hooks is true to an extent, but actually, does it actually make the difference that people think it does? Or, you know, in today's world where every brand is doing the same, testing 100 ads a month, 200, you know, depending on their size. So I just wonder whether you think that what, like, when you've been reevaluating everything, and how have you thought about that?
Yeah, I think I think you're right. Like I think I were over indexed into the realm of like test everything always in terms of the ads and make 5 gazillion a month. And I think that probably came out of a lot of like media buyers. That was like their strategy. And so then it gets like proclaimed out to the masses, and people that aren't like necessarily, that's not their 9 to 5, stick to it because it has worked for them and it makes sense. I think you're right about kind of a natural CAC or CPA for different things. Like, you know, someone's not going to, at the end of the day, like the other things that we've talked about, merchandising and product market fit are probably just as important, if not more important, than like spending all of your time trying to create 50 ads that test 50 different things. And so I think there's nuance to it. And I fall more into the realm of like, let's work on product development, work on things that people really want. Like ultimately, you know, ecom at the end of the day is like pretty simple if you think about it. Just, it's like make stuff that people will buy at a price point where you can acquire the customers, and it's all like a numbers game, whether it's a conversion rate, whether it's your CAC, whether it's your CPA, like make sure all these numbers work and then keep going. Super hard to do depending on what you're doing, but like that's ultimately what it kind of comes down to. So I think I'd fall more into the realm, and I don't think I'm an expert on this by any means. But I'd fall more into that realm of like, you don't necessarily need to test 500 ad variations a month. There's other variables that go into the equation. Like, and it's, you know, every situation's different, kind of like we've talked about. Like every brand is different. Like being an apparel brand, that's where my experience is here, and that's where I'm leaning into this conversation from, is like I have the fluidity and the just like the customer base, and it's an apparel brand. So like it makes sense that I'm making different types of products and different things. But if you're a different type of, in a totally different realm, like you're saying, like supplements or something like that, if you're grunts or something like that, then it makes sense because you've got this defined product and you need to be testing the different ads that go into it, because you don't have a lot of flexibility when it comes to, and you can do some product dev and you can create some like complementary products and create other things, but like ultimately it's not quite the same because your catalog is very narrow instead of wide. So it's it depends is the annoying answer, but I think the answer there.
Yeah. And my other question is, what's your thoughts on returning customers? And I mean, you've built up a fairly big customer base now over the years. And so I just wonder whether also you've thought about in terms of like putting more ad spend actually towards, because you've got a wide range as well. So, you know, in theory, a customer could buy a water bottle, a hat, a jacket, all these different things. And also depending on seasonality, you know, I mean, if it's like, if I talk to my girlfriend, it's like, there's like a new, you know, store she likes, like, and her friends have liked, like, they might well want to buy something over the summer, over the winter and the spring, you know, because of different collections for different times of year. So I just think, I wonder whether actually there's also a big unlock there in terms of actually more budget going there because of the fact that, you know, if a significant portion of your customers can come back returning, obviously that's what email's for, but I wonder whether there's some of that ad budget could go there as well.
Yeah, so I think that's a good segue into like digging into the actual, like I want to share exactly what I'm doing basically, and hopefully it helps anyone. But I haven't been allocating any amount of budget towards returning customers in that way. I kind of do treat retention as more of the email SMS realm, and I think that said, a lot of returning, so my returning customer rate isn't great. It's like the average, like 20-ish% for apparel. And it should be higher. And I think that in the past, I've been perhaps lazy with my product development and haven't made new things. And so it's like I am working on lots of new colors and lots of new options, and leaning into hoodies and sweatshirts are doing pretty well for me over the last year. And so leaning into that more. And I was looking at this yesterday, and the options that I have for sweatshirts, there's like 3 right now. And there's so many more colors that I could do and so many different variations that I could do. And I think that leaning into that, creating more things that people want to come back for has been, I think there's a lot of untapped potential there for my brand, particularly because like it's easier to, you know, acquire the customer you've already acquired than a new one. And in making more things for them. And so I think that, yeah, that's definitely a realm I want to dig into. I haven't necessarily, it's not the only part of my ad strategy as it sits right now that's focused on our retention is basically letting Facebook do its thing with ASC, and that will generally target a lot of the returning customers. I do have a DPA set up. We'll get into this in a second. I have a DPA setup campaign that is generally pretty good for apparel because apparel is so visual, and that I think naturally targets a lot of customers, existing customers as it sits. But yeah, I can dig in here. Should I dig into the actual campaign structures?
Yeah, I'm eager to hear it.
All right, let's do this. All right, burn it all down, start it all over again. Here we go. So previously my strategy was like sort of all over the place and wasn't really a great strategy. And so I'm trying to be very definitive and refined and set up actual structure of things that will work. And so I have a few question marks around it, but basically before I had a campaign set up for one of my hero categories and a campaign set up for, I should pull it open. Just like an ASC where I was dumping things in, and it was kind of sporadic. It was like, okay, here's some organic that's done well. Here's some other ones that have done well. But because there was different product sets in there, different product collections, it kind of threw things off. And I started this year to split out campaigns into different product collections, like a collection for hoodies and a collection for drinkware and that sort of thing in terms of campaigns. But I think that's too fragmented. You know, everyone preaches like one campaign is all you need. So I tried to adhere to that as much as possible. So basically on a high level, I've got an ASC ABO where I've got multiple ad sets set up, including a testing ad set and a winners ad set that will hopefully have the scalers in it. And because I have different budgets set up for those different ad sets, I can play with the budgets based on like, you know, I only allocate certain percentage here, certain percentage there. That's where I'll be putting in 2 to 3 new ads every week and testing it into the testing campaign. And then there's also inside that, it's like, that's like my main campaign, basically. It's got testing, winners, and then I'm pulling it up. Oh, winners that are product. So I've got winners that are general and winners that are in specific products categories that are that are winning, because it's like the CPA on a sweatshirt can be $50. The CPA on a drinkware that costs less than $50 can't be $50.
Right.
And so to monitor those things, I've got them set up separately. And then if ads don't do well, if ads don't do well, I cut them based on certain criteria that's specific to the product collection. If ads are kind of meh, I throw them into a bid cap campaign. So it's cost controlled, that's split up into various ad sets. And this is what I think wasn't working for me. I was trying to test different ads in the bid cap campaign and throwing tons of ads in there, and they just weren't delivering. And I think it's because it's more of a constricted environment for Facebook. And this is what GBT was telling me. So I think it's right. And it makes sense that it's right. But, I never know for sure. And so I have in my bid caps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different ad sets that are set up with different bid caps set up for the products. And so what I've been doing over the last week or two is moving a lot of the winners from that into my testing campaign, or the winners testing ad set, or the winners ad set, because they're working and I don't want them, I want to put the pedal to the metal if they're going to work, and not leave them in the bid cap where it's like super focused on profitability, because profitability is good, but I also kind of need reliability in terms of ad spend. And also if it's going to work, I want to, push the pedal down. The other ad set that I've got running is a DPA. It is a DPA that is CBO, I think. Oh, I set it up as CBO, but I'm actually transitioning it to an ABO, but I'm not changing the category per GBT's campaign rather. I'm not changing the campaign. I'm creating a new campaign that's DPA, ABO, and turning off the old one once it starts to like recognize the new one. And that I've seen really good results from the DPA for my brand, although historically I haven't, which is weird. But now I'm seeing good results for the DPA, and I'm going to continue to do that where it's set up with different ad sets based on the different product collections, and kind of like do the same sort of testing process in there as well, and turn off things that don't work. But that will kind of be like a broad sort of like, and that each ad set inside there, is a product set in Facebook Ad Manager. So it's specifically like is only the hoodies that will show up or whatever.
Right. That makes sense.
Go ahead.
I was going to ask with the DPA. So you say DPAs have or haven't worked in the past, like generally?
My DPA that I had going over this last year, I was turning it on and off here and there. It's like a 1.4 ROAS, 34 CPA. I've been running that for over a year now, it looks like. 2024 and 2025. Not great return. Probably should have been axed a while ago. And I had a bunch of different ad sets in here, or ads rather. One ad set, because I think I set this up back when you couldn't do multiple ad sets inside ASC. And now you can do multiple ad sets inside ASC. And so it was, the old DPA was one campaign, one ad set, and then like 20 ads that were hard to really gauge if they were working or not, because different product prices and different margin profiles make it kind of tricky. So I'm kind of leaning into the ABO strategy quite a bit, just based on my product selection.
Okay. And what DPAs do you run, or have you run like because you know how there's like you can do it as like a carousel, you can do it as like I'm trying to remember what they all are now. I'm actually just taking a look to remember. So you can do it as like a single image, but it's a DPA single image, so just displays like whatever product it thinks they're going to be interested in. A carousel where it shows like various different products, or like a collection where it like opens into a mobile experience and you have the collection there. Which ones have you done?
Facebook's so annoying. It's like I opened it up here to look at it, and it turned on some options that every single time I go in I turn off. Use shop to personalize the journey. Like, no thank you, just go to the website. But the answer, these are set up as single image. It looks like slideshow is the other option for catalog. Both of the current ones are set up as single image, and it's like a carousel, but it says single image. So it's not the slideshow option.
Okay. So yours says slideshow.
Mine says creative options for a DPA catalog inside the ad, single image or slideshow. And I've selected single image.
That's interesting. Am I doing something wrong? I've just turned on, I'm just looking at the Vantage Brush catalog ads. And then in the ad set, that's nothing. And then on the ad itself, I've got ad setup, single image carousel collection. No way, is that different?
Man, is this like a campaign you just created, or was it an old one?
I duplicated one of the, but I've always seen this. I duplicated one of the old ones just to see if what it would come up with for me just now while you were talking about DPA. But I'm looking at my old one.
I think they change it often, but I don't know if that really explains what we're seeing here.
I'm looking at my old one, and it says single image carousel collection as well. That's weird. That's really weird.
Man, Facebook Ad Manager is a disaster. There's so many bugs in here, and it's like every single time they try and turn on all this terrible AI features that don't really work, and it's like the times when I've accidentally, and every time you like duplicate the ad, they turn them back on, and every time I miss one of those, I see the ad on Instagram, and I'm like, oh, that's a terrible decision. Why would you swap that text for that or whatever? And supposedly they know all, but it's kind of like what you're saying is like a lot of the conventional wisdom behind Facebook ads right now is like, let them do everything. And I think, yes, in some ways, like hopefully that makes media buying easier, where it's just like choose an ASC and choose, from these 3 options or whatever. But also all these little like details inside of it make it not as easy.
Yeah.
And annoying. I don't know what's going on there. We could dig into it off air, I think.
That's fine. No, yeah, I was just interested to hear. Okay. So yeah, and then so you say you've been running this for a week now?
Yeah, I'd say a week or two. I think was I don't know exactly when I set it up, but I think it's been about a week or two.
And what have you started off with? Just like your best performing creative historically?
Yeah, basically I started to fill in. So my ASC ABO, my main one, I grabbed the winners for drinkware. 4 of them are in an ad set. My general winners has my 3 best ads historically in it. My winners for my sweatshirt category has my 5 best ads historically. What's so weird is like some of these ads were doing way better in the other ASC campaign. And then when I put them in this one, which the only difference is the daily budget, like this is not cost controlled or anything. The other one was an ASC broad. This is an ASC broad. Like pretty much all the settings are the same. But like when I put in some of these ads here, the numbers are terrible. And some of these ads were driving like my business basically. So, and I did the grab the post ID, drop in the post ID method, but that's what's also frustrating, where it's like, I don't know why this is a 0.69 cost per or like ROAS when it was like 2 point something before, unless it's just a small sample size. And because the budget is $25 a day, it hasn't spent enough to get to that number or something.
Yeah, it could
I don't
be.
know.
Could be.
And then I've got the other categories of testing campaign, where it's like test 2 to 3 things at once. The other caveat to all of this is like my best seller is out of stock right now. And so I had to turn off 6 ads in my winners and my testing because it was half of the sizes were out of stock for this sweatshirt. So it's like, oh man, it's like, it's hard. That's all. It's hard. Just complaining. Yeah. So that's kind of like my strategy is like start testing it. If it wins, it wins. If it's meh, move it to the cost controlled. Percentage wise, I've got the breakdowns here. My main ASC ABO, I'm going to put 50 to 60% of ad spend in it. The DPA is lower. It's 20 to 25. Bid cap is like 15 to 20% of my overall budget. And then I also have an ASC where I drop in sales creative into it. And I like having that separate. It's a separate campaign. I think it makes sense to leave it separate just because the numbers and margins are different when you're running a X percentage of a sale or whatever it is. And so I turn that on and off throughout the year when I have ads to run into it.
Yeah. Actually, talking about that, So you're saying I think you mentioned, I don't know if you mentioned this off air or on air, but you said you're launching more like flash sales. Is that right?
Oh yeah, I don't think I got into that on the pod yet. Um, that's been working for me. Yes. So over the last couple weeks, every weekend, I've decided that I want to test offers and see like what people will bite on more. And also I need more orders to come in and need to clear out some inventory. And so every weekend I've been running a weekend flash sale with testing a different offer, whether it's a certain percentage off certain product category. It's usually a product category specific, and it's usually anywhere from like buy like a tiered buy one get X dollars back, buy two get X dollars off, which is what I'm doing this weekend on the shorts. Or last weekend was interesting. It was Eco Teas. One of my product categories, normally $42, dropped the price down to 25 each, and I was expecting to see my AOV tank and see everyone buy one and let it go, but AOV stayed consistent. People were buying multiple of them. People love deals. And so I do want to get away from percentage based deals in some ways, but with AOV holding like that, that was a pretty good test. The flash sale before that was a gift with purchase, which was like, didn't work that great. And then there was a flash sale before that also failed, but it's pretty straightforward to set up and like test and run. And so I think it's been a pretty good takeaway for me just to figure out like what people are really gonna bite on.
So are you doing that primarily via email, or are you running ads to those flash sales as well?
I've run no ads to them. I just ran out of time. I was thinking about doing one. I don't know if I'll have time today. For this weekend's flash sale that I sent a text message out 40 minutes ago for and an email this morning, but I'm basically just doing email. It's like launch day is email text, maybe a reminder on Saturday. And then like last few hours kind of thing on Sunday, email text, and plain text emails, plain just very basic SMS.
Yeah.
I think I posted on Instagram for one of them or a couple of them, but and also posted in the community, my like private Facebook group and stuff. I've posted one or two of them in there, but it's primarily just been email SMS.
Yeah. I'm just wondering,
retention.
Retention play, but I'm just wondering if it's also got some acquisition opportunity to it, in the sense that it's almost like if it was a regular thing, if it could be like come part of almost like your operations, where you run, and again, it doesn't have to be discounts, but you run these offers that people love, and they've kind of got this kind of gamification feel to it. You run some ad spend to it. You almost have like a campaign, or even maybe I don't know if you set up a new campaign every week, or if you got a campaign where you just like turn off ads, add ads, turn off ads, add ads for different promotions every weekend. And it could be like maybe a very strong acquisition tactic, because then those people, especially if like that you're actually acquiring them profitably, because then those people, can come back again, and you've got you're just building that returning customer value. So I'm just wondering if that's like almost got its value in like as an ad setup on a regular basis.
That's kind of what I'm doing here. I'm testing the waters with these offers. But yeah, you're right. Like I've seen another brand that I really like do a buy two get one free for apparel, like on all of their stuff, and that seems to work really well for them. Like they keep doing it, and so I've tried that in my bid caps. I actually tried that with my shorts, but I think the fail with my shorts was that there's only one color, and it's like, who really wants 3 shorts of one color? That was a short-sighted decision by me to try and do that offer with that particular product. But I think with other products, doing some sort of offer like that, I definitely want to get into testing the waters on paid acquisition with it and see like what sticks. And I like the buy X, get Y, because it helps drive AOV, and like it's easy kind of math to do in some ways. And so that's probably what I'll try and drop into and you're right. I don't know where it fits in terms of the ad structure. Probably the sale campaign, although it is, I mean, if it's not like a discount, if it's like a more of a gift with purchase or some other type of offer, quote unquote, maybe it makes sense to have that in testing. I'll ask my advisor, Mr. GPT, because you want to test things that are like, if I'm testing certain ads in there right now, I don't think I want to put in these new tests until those current tests are done, because there's such different offer, quote unquotes. It's like, just static ad for one product versus like an actual offer. I don't think you should run those against each other.
No,
But
no, I guess not. But
yeah.
I guess the advantage of it being in, I mean, I'm just thinking out loud here, but the advantage of it being in like a sale campaign for these type of limited things is that you don't have any risk of them ever competing with each other because they end before the next one starts. And so it's almost like a
Mhm.
campaign where there's almost like you're always spending in that campaign, but the campaign is constantly changing. I wonder if it actually has some merit as well because it's just they're not competing and also they're always getting spent, so you're always able to kind of test them against one another. I don't know. I don't know if I'm right, but I'm just kind of guessing.
Yeah. I guess, yeah, that makes sense for if it's like a weekend flash sale. I was thinking too, like offer testing like this and figuring out an offer that works and scaling the offer, kind of
Yeah,
like Zach from Hollow does, where he's like buy three, get three free always. um, Figuring out what offer makes the most sense for the business and running with that is probably will more of be an evergreen ad, which could lean
yeah,
itself to be more in like the other campaign.
yeah. I mean, that's a
Things to
huge
chew on.
point as well. I think offers, as offer architecture, as people say, is really important as well because
Yeah.
yeah, it's not just about like how can I improve my conversion rate, how can I get more people like coming to product page and buying, but it's also like how can I also make it more economical. And I think it all ties in, doesn't it, in terms of making it so that you're actually losing less money and you've got more people buying, and yeah, improving that conversion rate, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. That's where I'm sitting. I'm only like a week or two into the burn it all down, start over again thing. Don't know if it's totally working yet. It feels like it lines up with like how I want to run things in some ways and feels like something I can keep going with. I feel like those elements are stuff that no one really talks about in the ecom world, where it's like, yeah, you kind of have to adapt how you run the business to your own personality and to what you do. Because if it's something that you hate doing or something that you like don't want to do or something that just like there's friction with yourself and you can't get past that, and like don't do it, and do what makes the most sense for you, that makes the most sense for the business. Yeah. And so, well, I guess we'll keep y'all updated out there in the underdog world. That I don't know where organic content fits into this, to be honest. So I want to lean into organic a lot. I've boosted a lot of organic posts in the past, and I know that like Chris Lang talks about organic a lot in as being buying signals and that sort of thing. Some of the organic, because it's not product specific, I'll probably, if it seems to be doing well, maybe I'll take a couple of them and run them for a week in the testing campaign. And then if it does well, move it into the winner's general ad set. Sorry, I said testing campaign. It's a testing ad set. But seasonality is another thing too. It's like the shorts aren't doing very well in the ads right now, probably because it's not really short season here. And so, and then out of stock, like there's so many different variables that I don't know how well this strategy. We'll see. I mean, we'll see as time goes, but I think it seems like it's a reset, and that I'm hopeful that it helps the brand going forward, because it could really use a win in the marketing efficiency realm.
Yeah, get you for sure. Yeah, but we'll definitely have to revisit it in a few weeks' time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
definitely like later this month or something. That'd be great.
Cool. We should probably wrap this. Been yapping for a while about these things. Do you have any closing thoughts or any last questions that we didn't get to, Jack?
No, that's all from my side. I think that was, yeah, it's cool to see. I think ads have been terrible now recently, so
So
everyone's
bad.
suffering a little bit.
So bad. Suffering a lot. Everyone's suffering a lot. I think that was one thing, texting with a few other founders, is like, it's been hard. So hang in there, underdogs. We got you. Let us know what you think. Shoot us your questions, tweet us. We got a new Twitter handle that I can't remember off the top of my head. I think it's Underdog Ecom HQ, perhaps.
Sounds
or
right.
just tweet Jack or I. Email us, drop us comments on YouTube, thumbs up, all the likes, all the subscribes, all the things. All right, thanks a lot.